People on Twitter aren't happy about the state of art commissions. Again, my background looks weird because I'm at home visiting family for Christmas. So yeah, after January 2nd, all the videos will look back to normal. So we have this post on Twitter by Katakemi writing, "Can I rant for a second? I am so tired of paying for commissions and then not hearing anything for months. I'm trying to be polite. People get busy. Mental health is important. But I am not made of money. At this point, I think I've lost $120 worth of money, which is a lot to me. And I have to say, this has been something that we have seen in the art community for a long time now. I've made many videos on my page talking about artists who have ghosted tons of clients, and we have other experiences as well of people getting scammed out of so much money. I use the word scammed because, right, they paid for a service and never received it, so they lost their money. But I also would say that a lot of these artists did not start trying to be a scammer. Like, I don't think a lot of the artists woke up and were like, yeah, I need to make money, so I'm going to post comms and just not do anything and piss off somewhere. You know, I don't think it started like that, but it's one of those things where people kind of get in over their head. You know, artists want to make money selling their art, so therefore they will sell their art. And if you have not had experience running a business, because your art is a business at the end of the day, you are somebody that will serve your clients and make them things and deliver things to clients. You're providing a service, which is your artwork. It is a business, but they're not used to doing business related stuff because they're artists. They just want to do art. And so they take on comms, and maybe due to poor communication skills, poor time management, whatever, they get so in over their head, they get overwhelmed, but they spent the money. So now they need more money to pay this month's rent because they spent the money from the first batch of commissions. So they open up more commissions without having finished the previous batch due to poor time management, poor communication skills, whatever, and you get in over your head. It happens a lot. So I am in a way somewhat empathetic to the artists that end up in this cycle, but I can't forgive you for it because we have people like Katakemi who are out money. And oftentimes I will also hear in the comment section, people be like, oh, but it's like not that much money. And in my opinion, you have no right to tell somebody else what amount of money is a lot to them. You know what I mean? Like $50 may not be a lot to some people. It is a lot to other people. $100 may be a lot to you, but it may not be a lot to, I don't know, your rich neighbor down the street, right? Everybody has a different value on what quantity of money is considered a lot. And people, in my opinion, are allowed to be upset that they have paid for something they have not received after being very patient and waiting, even if to you it is not a lot of money. But in the comment section, we have Hera Soul writing, I reached the point where if they don't have a visible waitlist, a date hasn't been agreed upon, and it's been longer than 3 months, I ask for my money back. I give them a week to respond, then file a claim with PayPal. And Katakemi writes, that is a good idea, but I hate that I have to come to that. I do think that's a good idea as well. From Hara, right? You know, if a date hasn't been agreed upon, it's been longer than 3 months and they haven't started on your piece yet. And it wasn't something that you guys agreed to wait. You know what I mean? Like no date was agreed upon. You were asking, hey, you know, like I want this by next month, and they ghosted you for 3 months. You know, you are completely right to be filing a chargeback. And here's the thing too. A lot of artists are like, why did you file a chargeback? You should have just contacted me first. What are they supposed to do if you were ghosting them? What, like the 16th message they send you would be the one you respond to? Like, Utterly Ninja writes, I'm sorry that happened. I've always looked at it as if I've paid for, I'm allowed to bother them about the commissions, since you're paying for a service and some sort of communication is important when money is involved. Katakemi says, I have reached out for a check-in, to which they don't respond for days, and then when they do, they say they will get it done. No response, no updates, etc. And I agree too. Look, if you paid for a service, and you're reaching out to the artist, and the artist is kind of responding to you, but they keep saying, oh, I'll work on it. I'll work on it. It doesn't change anything because they have not worked on it. You know what I mean? Like if you commission somebody 6 months ago for a portrait of yourself and you keep asking, hey, like, how is this looking? You know, I said I didn't really have a deadline, but it has been an egregiously long amount of time now. You owe them nothing because they haven't worked on it. In my opinion, it's like Schrodinger's cat, right? Has the bomb blown up? We don't know until we open the box. Has the artist worked on your art piece? You don't know until you've seen a sketch. So until you get that sketch, we're fair to assume that the artist probably hasn't touched the piece. Aaron Dillon writes, usually my rule is if I don't hear anything within a few weeks when I was told they are working on it, I send a message asking what's going on. And I usually try to make sure that I pay when they are ready to work on it and try to get it paid via payment method too if it's offered. Red Flame VT writes, I'm sorry to hear that, and I do notice that it's been happening a bit to some people I know recently, including myself. Commissioned somebody for live 2D art, paid in June, got it started in July, got my first rough draft in September, and didn't hear back till I told them I'd be charging back the payment by the end of the week, in the beginning of this month. And yeah, right, like live 2D VTubers are pretty time consuming to make, so it's understandable it will take a longer amount of time, a couple of months maybe, but like no response really like since September, which has been 3-4 months prior. You are completely fair to be upset. And Alexia Moivas writes, honestly, this should have never been accepted by anybody to begin with. It's not rude to ask for and request updates on a commission when you've already paid for it, especially when they aren't communicating with you outside of you asking them first. More people need to get into the habit of not accepting radio silence from these people. And if you don't hear anything back or you haven't yet received the work and it's coming up the time limit of that you can get refunds through PayPal, you should 100% begin the refund process, which by the way, PayPal has a 6-month window. After 6 months, you can't charge them back anymore through PayPal. You might be able to dispute it with your credit card provider, but not PayPal. If it puts them in a tough spot, honestly, my opinion is, oh well, then you need to develop better business practices. It is not my fault that you decided not to communicate, even when I reached out. And a simple project takes far too long. I'll call it thankful that I've not had this issue myself because the artists I've worked with have all been professional on this regard. Only one was taking longer than promised, but they did give me updates when I reached out to them. Though early on, I almost got scammed by one of the bots, and when I realized it was a scam, I immediately filed for a refund. And here's the thing, right? I completely agree with the sentiment, but it just absolutely sucks because it is always the kindest people, and I always say this in my videos, but it's true. It's always the kindest people that get taken advantage of by those people, those artists that are like constantly pushing your boundaries, constantly being like, oh, I'll work on it soon, like I swear, stop bothering me. It's always the kindest people that get scammed because it is the kind people that, oh, don't want to bother the artist, oh, I don't want to rush them, like maybe they're going through something, so I'm gonna be patient, I'm gonna wait a little bit. It is always the kind and empathetic people that get their boundaries trampled on, that get scammed because of people who are engaging in poor business practices. And we have Twitter user Your Local Wolf Girl, or Kate, writing, I've lost over $500 this year from artists, including on VGen. And VGen is a much more reputable platform where you can get art commissions from, who just ghosted and I couldn't get a refund. Trust, if I get art from you, I'll be hitting you up, and if you go a whole last month without an update or even saying, quote, hey, I've got some stuff going on, end quote, I will 100% go through PayPal's resolution center. Creators aren't made of money. And yes, I know art is a privilege, but if you are being paid for a service, that's your business, you created. And if you chose to run it into the ground, I won't be a part of it. And by the way, I don't like the guilt tripping aspect that people put on clients, right? Being like, well, the artist is going through something, so you should be patient, or like art is a luxury. So like, it's okay if it takes longer. Yes, art is a privilege and it is a luxury. And I say this too, and I completely agree with that. But like, if you are privileged and in the position where you can afford to pay for art and the person is not delivering on their service after an egregiously long amount of time, you have every right to be upset. And I completely agree. Like, I don't feel bad about the artist's circumstances if they put themselves there. Now, before you guys comment, let me explain, okay? If you have paid $100 for a commission to an artist, okay? And then the artist never did the commission. So it has now been 6 months and you're like, dude, we agreed 3 months was the deadline. It's been 6 months. Like, where is it? I'm going to charge it back. A lot of times I see it where the artist will try to guilt trip. They'll be like, I can't afford rent next month. Like, how dare you charge me back? Like, I'm going to be broke. It's not my fault that you took my $100 and then didn't do the thing that we agreed upon, right? Like, it's a trade where I give you the 100, you give me art. I'm not a bank. So if you don't give me the artwork, the client is 100% entitled to get their money back because they didn't get what they paid for. So that is completely fair. But a lot of artists, at times I'll see artists will guilt trip being like, I don't have enough money, my rent, It was on you to not spend the money because you didn't complete the service. That $100 would have been yours if you finished the piece, but they didn't. And I see this so much, and I've made many YouTube videos about this where the artist will go and like be very upset that they're now in a very precarious financial situation due to their poor management of their own finances. There's a complete different scenario that I'm very empathetic to, right? Where like they completed the service or the client was being an absolute nightmare. And then, you know, there was like a chargeback and like money loss. You know, there's been cases where the art was completed and the client charged it back anyways. So that is fucked up. But I'm talking in the scenario where the art was never done in the first place. And then the person charged it back because they never got any sketch, nothing. I am not on the side of the guilt tripping, right? Like that's on you to manage your finances, not on the client who did their job. The client paid you and was waiting for something and didn't get it. And Kate wrote, I am so sorry. So many people relate to this. It sucks this popped off like this because it proves how big of a problem this is. If interested, I do have a small list of artists I trust and wouldn't mind sharing. This convo blew up. I'm gonna have to mute it, but just know I hear you all and I understand. Adorable Kitten writes, I'm an artist on VGen and I make sure to update my clients when I can at the minimum once a week and if more if needed. My commissions are to be finished within 4 weeks unless stated or agreed to otherwise. I make sure my clients are happy and informed. I also stream my process. Kate says, I love artists who stream their art so much. It's so fun watching your art piece come to life, and usually the artist who stream it is so sweet. I always opt in on VGen for it to be okay they stream their process. Blue Vampire VTuber writes, oh man, I just commissioned someone from VGen for new emotes. Kate says, not all artists on VGen do this. There are some amazing artists there. Just practice communication. Harry Sun Studio writes, I've been working in illustration field for 7 years, and yeah, this is a problem for us nowadays because it makes it harder for new artists to get trust from creators. But for you, the risk is huge because you could sink a lot of money there while being ghosted. And Kate says, yes, I love finding and supporting new artists, small artists, any artist, but it's very hard to trust. Though I love your studio and will continue to support the fuck out of it, all of your amazing artists. You have all been great. Cookie says, how did this happen to you on VGen with the guaranteed delivery update? Clients can get a refund if the commission wasn't delivered in the set amount of time. I'm just asking because I use VGen for my commissions and I want my clients to feel safe. And Kate wrote, had somebody who was doing an emote com for me and they ghosted for 6 weeks. No updates or anything. I paid through VGen instead of PayPal and VGen said they couldn't do anything. And when they reached out to the seller said they were in the hospital. Side note, they were posting on their socials just fine. And VGen said they don't have the money in their account for them to pull a refund. So I would have to wait until the seller did something. I got a partial refund after 2 months of waiting for a response and lost out on $60 because the artist didn't have the money in their account. I have paid through PayPal since. Pi Divine writes, I've lost a lot of money and time with some artists who do not respond or message me back. It's disappointing when you are so excited for an art piece just to have to jump through hurdles and hoops to try to get your money back. FPS Crystal writes, I lost a couple hundred this year as well. I know if I message somebody about an update and don't hear back in 2 months, I'm probably not getting the art piece. Don't take comms if you can't communicate with your clients, period. Lorelai Locke writes, I've lost out on a couple $1,000s this year due to various artists ghosting or doing the initial sketch and then poofing. I've been nice in the past, but I agree with you. I'm 100% done with people taking my money and not doing the work I paid them to. Kailani Dreams writes, I've also been waiting several months without anything, but I still see them post new comms, including holiday ones, while I still get nothing in return. It's very frustrating. Captain Rex Shreddington writes, I wasted about 1K this year. Raishira writes, I definitely feel this. An artist that put me on the ropes since December last year never updated me unless I nagged in DMs, ran away with my money for 7 drawn and animated emotes. I was incredibly patient, but in the end, they deleted their socials in August and took money from many. Vera V writes this, I commissioned somebody last year for Your Character Here piece and got ghosted. Denpa Senkai writes, I think I've lost close to $1,000 from this. I rarely hear from them other than 1 or 2 health updates, but other people are getting their art, and they open up new Your Character Here things since they started on mine. Tetsu T VTuber writes, this is so real. I myself have been waiting 3 months past due date for a comm, and there is barely any contact from the artist. I was accused of submitting a refund request through a platform I didn't use to pay after I was told a refund wasn't possible. I just want my stuff. And I found another person's experience as well, but hopefully it has a more positive update. So this is from Sweet Dreamsy on Twitter, who goes by Dreamsy. And on a completely unrelated and side note, or somewhat related, this is their design. And I just have to say their design is absolutely the most gorgeous, beautiful thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, oh, the little cloud details and the hair and the sleep mask and the moon on the ears. Oh, their model is so pretty, or their design, because they don't have the model, unfortunately. And the cloud tail. So yeah, sorry. I just wanted to show you guys because it's absolutely gorgeous. But Dreamsy tweeted, this is twice now that I've paid for model art and not received it. I am out $300 for models. I am broke as it is and I can't afford to pay other bills and not get what I paid for. I'm so upset. Mochi Momo writes, you could always do a PayPal chargeback if it went through PayPal, and Dreamsy says it is beyond the 180-day limit. I don't think I can. And Lambriel VT writes, I'm sorry you're dealing with this. I just had a comm where the artist totally ghosted me that I disputed yesterday too. Your bank is your best bet. Look at it as a learning opportunity. You know what to look out for in the future to avoid this, and you'll catch it earlier. Then, also on Christmas Day, Dreamsy made a tweet writing, I sent a message to the artist. I don't really like confrontation at all, but I have a right to either get my money or the art, and I have to stand up for myself. Sombra writes, you got this. Don't worry too much, Dreamsy. You took a big step. And Dreamsy says, thank you. Juju Vendoletta writes, I'm so sorry all of this is happening. That is so unfair and I'd be absolutely fuming. I really hope there's a resolution to this. And Dreamsy says, thank you, Juju. I am hoping things work out. And then also So at the night of Christmas, Dreamsy made a follow-up tweet writing an update to this. The artist responded to my concerns and said she'll have updates for me between the 30th of December and 1st of January, which should be the finished sketch. She also said if no changes are needed, she could finish by the end of January. I'm gonna be holding her to this and see what happens. I'm still gonna call my bank and speak to them about things though. So yeah, I mean, Dreamsy does have a coffee, which I will also link down below, where they are having a little goal for their debut as well, if you guys would like to support, because again, it absolutely sucks to be kind of like gunning for something. You paid for the artwork, you never got it. The artist seems to be optimistic in completing the piece. I hope that would be the case. But yeah, at the end of the day, it absolutely sucks that this has been an ongoing thing that is becoming only more and more prevalent, I feel like, in the art space, which really sucks. And I think the lesson for all of us to learn is 1, vet your artists carefully, right? 2, pay through PayPal, which is a payment service where you can file a chargeback at dispute. 3, always push for communication. If the artist is not communicating with you, you can DM them, okay? A lot of people feel bad for like double texting, whatever. Don't feel bad because the other person didn't feel bad for not doing their work and giving you the art piece, so you shouldn't feel bad for, hey, just a friendly bump. Hey, you know, what's the update? Any status about this? And I would say finally, file that chargeback. If it has been beyond the deadline a long time, right? You didn't receive any updates, any sketches, anything, the final piece, you can file that chargeback with PayPal. You do have 6 months, so keep that in mind. After the 6 months, you cannot file the chargeback with PayPal anymore. You may be able to dispute it with your bank, and they might side with you depending on your bank, whatever, but protect yourself and your money. And it sucks that it always happens to the kindest and most empathetic people, but sometimes you gotta be a little bit more harsh because they didn't feel bad about completely ghosting you. So I'm so sorry to everybody that is involved and everybody who didn't get their artwork or is out a lot of money from art pieces. And hopefully in the future, the art community can get better and that this can be a less common occurrence. So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below about these experiences. If you've had any experiences like this, I would love to hear it. I'm so sorry if you did, but we can share in the comment section. And I also have a coffee in which I have free art and stuff for y'all, and an Etsy where I sell Twitch emotes overlays. And I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So hope to catch you guys there or in another one of my videos. Peace.